I am so bored with the same old vegetables. Aren't you getting tired of growing the same tomatoes, zucchini, squash over and over and over again? Do you ever look at your garden and just think, this is boring? What if the most insane, flavorful vegetables on earth, the ones you've never even heard of, are just right around the corner? What if I told you that you could actually grow them with basically zero effort? Well, today we are ditching the boring stuff. We're going to find 7 of the most uncommon vegetables that will completely change your life. These aren't just weird. They have incredible flavors, crazy health benefits, and are tough enough for any gardener to grow. So if you want to break through those gardening records and go crazy food adventures, well, you're in the right place. So let's do this. First up is a core ingredient in Mexican cooking that for some reason most of us don't even grow at home, and that's the tomatillo. You've definitely tasted it. It's almost a key in almost every single salsa verde that you have. But have you ever seen one on a vine? It's a relative close to the tomato. Sometimes they're called husk tomatoes, and it actually grows these beautiful green and purple fruits, each one of them wrapped in a delicate papery husk. Now the plants themselves get kind of bushy, about 3 to 4 foot tall and about 3 to 4 foot wide, and they produce a ton. The flavor is the real story here. It's not just a green tomato, it is a bright, tart, and almost a citrusy type of kick that's actually incredible. And when you roast them or boil them, that tartness softens into a really complex savory flavor that's perfect for sauces and stews. And beyond the taste, they're actually loaded with vitamin C and vitamin K. So how do you grow them? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Tomatillos actually love full sun and well-drained soil, just like their, tomato cousins. They're great for containers, but you'll want to get you a big one, at least 5 gallons. Now here's the most important tip. You have to plant them in at least 2 of them. Tomatillo plants are actually plants need a friend to cross-pollinate with, or you won't get any fruit at all. Plant them about 3 or 4 foot apart, and maybe give them a little small tomato cage for support so the branches don't actually get weighted down. They're ready to pick when the fruit has filled the husk out and it starts to feel a little bit dry and maybe splits open just a little bit. Don't wait for them to change colors. You'll want to get them when they're firm and bright green. Are you trying to get the most out of a small garden space? Then you need to meet the yard-long bean, also known as the asparagus bean. This thing is a powerhouse for production, and yes, the name is not an exaggeration. These beans can actually grow 1 to 2 feet long, and sometimes even a full yard. Even though they look like a green bean, they're actually a type of cowpea. Their flavor is a bit milder, and their texture is a little more tender and less snappy. This makes them really amazing in stir fries and curries, and you can just blanch them if you want to and toss them into a good sauce. Plus, they're a really great source of protein, fiber, and vitamin B. But the real magic is how they grow. This is a vining plant that loves to climb, which makes it a great champion for the vertical gardener. The vines can shoot all the way up to 10 to 12 feet long, and absolutely need to give them a tall, sturdy trellis. This means you can actually get a huge harvest from a tiny patch of soil. They also love the heat and they thrive in hot summer sun, when other beans may just want to try to give up. Just plant the seeds about 1 inch deep at the base of your trellis, and after the soil is nice and warm, they'll grow super rapidly. Then you can actually start picking them in about 2 months. For the best taste, try to grab them when they're about the same size or thickness of a pencil. Alright, this might just be the cutest vegetable you will ever grow. Meet the cucamelon. It looks exactly like a tiny watermelon, sized to fit for about a dollhouse, but the taste like a refreshing cucumber with a surprisingly burst of lime. They're also called a Mexican sour gherkin. And these grape-sized gems are so much fun to grow and so much fun to eat. Their flavor is totally unique. They're crisp, juicy, and a little bit tangy. It's like a cucumber that's already been pre-seasoned for the salad. This makes them perfect for snacking right off the vine. Or you could toss them right into your salad, or you can even pickle them. They also make a really good garnish for that summer drink. Cucamelons are vining plants just like the long yard beans. Perfect for growing upwards on a trellis or fence. You can even let them spill out of a hanging basket if you want. The vines are a little bit more delicate, but they can actually grow up to 10 feet long. They are also tough little plants, drought tolerant and usually ignored by pests. You'll want to harvest them when they're about the size of a grape, and you want them when they're still a little bit firm. If they get too big, they can get a little bit bitter, so picking them often tells the plant, hey, let's make some more. Alright, now then, if you've got a sweet tooth, you're going to love this next one. Let me introduce you to the ground cherry. It's a close relative of the Tomatillo, and it produces these little marble-sized berries, each wrapped up in its own papery little husk like a tiny little present. When you unwrap it, you're going to find this beautiful golden orange fruit with just the flavor that is just out of this world. Oh, and the taste of this is an amazing mix of sweet and tart. People often say that it's like a cross between a pineapple and a strawberry, maybe with a little hint of tomato. They're really good for eating fresh right out of the garden, but they also make fantastic jams and pies. Ground cherries grow into a bushy, sprawling plant that gets a couple of feet high and a couple of feet wide. They do really great in containers, but you're going to need a little more support. Something like a tomato cage to actually keep the fruit off the ground. They're going to need full sun and warm weather to really get going. Now here's the coolest part. You don't have to pick them. You wait for the plant to tell you when they're ready. When the fruit is perfectly ripe, the husk dries up and the whole thing just drops to the ground. You just have to gather them up. It makes harvesting a breeze. But I want to remind you, just be very careful because an unripe ground cherry, they're actually toxic. So only eat the ones that have fallen off the plant on their own. Alright, when you hear of a radish, you probably think those little red spicy globes. But there is a whole world of radishes out there. And I want to introduce you to the gentle giant of the family, the Daikon radish. This is a huge white root that is a staple in Asian cooking and is a totally different experience. Unlike those fiery little bites of common radish, Daikon is a much milder with a crisp, juicy texture with a little bit of peppery sweetness. This makes it super versatile. You can eat it raw, you can grate it into slaws, or you can pickle it, or cook it in soups and stir fries, where it really gets tender and soaks up all the flavors of the dish. It's also a really low in calorie and makes a good source of vitamin C. Growing a daikon really just needs one huge thing, and that is loose, deep soil. Since you're growing a giant root, it needs room to grow down without hitting any packed soil or clay or rocks. This is why the daikon is a perfect for raised beds or really deep containers. Think at least 12 to 18 inches deep. Daikon is a cool weather crop, so you're going to want to plant these in late summer for a fall harvest or early summer as soon as the soil can be worked. These are not fans of really summertime heat. Just sow the seeds directly where you want them and they'll be ready in probably as little as 5 to 6 weeks. You know that weed that you're always pulling out of your sidewalk? I bet you're throwing that thing away, aren't you? Well, stop! You're throwing away one of the most nutritious vegetables on the planet. This is Purslane, and it's an absolute superfood. The health benefits will actually blow your mind. Personally, it has more omega-3s than spinach. Omega-3s are like rocket fuel for your brain. And this insane plant-based source, it's actually loaded with vitamin A, vitamin C, potassium, and magnesium. The flavor is actually awesome. It's kind of a crisp, lightly salty, and super juicy. You can throw it in salads or you can even blend it in a smoothie. And growing it is so easy, it's actually funny. This stuff actually wants to grow. It loves heat, it loves sun, and it doesn't care if your soil is terrible. You can literally just sprinkle seeds in a sunny spot and this stuff is going to take off. Now, it does spread really well, so if you don't want it to take over your entire yard, just put it in a pot. You can actually start cutting it in as little as 6 weeks, and it just grows back all summer long. Our last vegetable is a real conversation starter. It's a spiky, funny looking little cucumber relative called the Burr gherkin. It originally came from West Africa and produces a small oval fruit that's covered in soft, totally edible spines. They might look a little intimidating, but they're delicious and they're super tough additions to the garden. The flavor is a lot like a mild cucumber, especially when you pick them young. They're also known for being way more resilient to pest and disease like regular cucumbers, which make them fantastic. But they don't have any of the bitterness that the cucumbers sometimes get. They're really great raw in salads or cooked in stir fries. But where they really shine is when you pickle them. Their firm, crunchy texture holds up perfectly in brine. And their weird shaped looks really amazing in a jar of pickles. And they're low stress choice for organic gardeners. They love the heat and are ridiculously productive, often giving you way more fruit than you'll know what to do with. The key is to pick them when they're young, somewhere around the 1 to 2 inches long. That's perfect. So there you are, 7 incredible uncommon vegetables just waiting for a spot in your garden. From zesty tomatillos to the cute as a button cucamelon, from superfood weeds to purslane and the spiky little Burr gherkin. There's a whole world of flavor out there just beyond the usual stuff. Growing something new isn't about just the food. It's about the fun and the experience and the experimentation of growing it. The surprise of a new flavor and the satisfaction of harvesting something you can't find in your local grocery store. I hope this has inspired you to get a little more adventurous this planting season. I'd love to know which one of these that you're most excited to try. Let me know down in the comments which one you are going to try. And if you've grown any of these before, don't hesitate and please share your tips with everyone down in the comments. So if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing for more gardening adventures. You know, when you subscribe and you comment, it really helps this channel grow and expand to other gardeners. Now, go get your hands dirty and grow something wonderfully weird. And, like always, keep it growing.